Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sunrise Daily Today. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Good morning. Well, I guess I was keeping quiet to welcome the guests in our midst.
Oh.
But yes, here we are. It's a lovely Tuesday morning. Welcome, Mama. Where are you?
Which local government is it from?
No, I think I'm even sitting in the wrong place. I should be sitting on that side as the guest. That I am.
Okay.
Amaya Makinde, good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah, it is 24 degrees centigrade here in Abuja, and what a lovely weather it is, and we're hoping that things have calmed down everywhere else. And so have a look at this scenery. It has a soothing effect, I tell you. So sometimes you just need to remove yourself from all of those hustle and bustle going on everywhere and relax.
That's it right there. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, yeah, don't blame me. I always see movies, but yes, that's what that really, really is. I mean, it looks like one of those scenes where the that scene, Malcolm, you'd remember. I don't know if Chamberlain ever watches movies in Black Panther. You know, where they were having that fight. You know, that kind of scene. That's what this kind of picture gives you, and it's very, very beautiful one. You know, water quenches fire. I won't say more than that.
Did you quench the fire now?
I know what he's talking about, but we're not yet there, and we're not getting there anytime soon. You know, but this is what you're looking at. It's not AI. This is not artificial intelligence. This is nature in its very generous beauty at the Gurara waterfalls in Niger State. Absolutely gorgeous. You look at it, this is what happens in the rainy season. It can be difficult to visit this place in the rainy season, but when the torrents are a bit, it lets you know what sacrifice the video man or the cameraman or the drone man had to make to be able to get you this shot.
Wow.
But in the dry season, it's a lot easier to hike this terrain and get to this place. So, but this is what you see right now, the gorgeousness. What you're currently admiring is Gurara waterfalls. Can we ask the governor of Niger State to do more about accessibility to this place?
Places.
Places, especially when you're leaving the Zuba end of the Federal Capital Territory. The area around Zuba, leading into Niger State to Zuma Rock, is an eyesore. It's a real if you're a tour guide and you say, oh, my dear friend, I want to quickly take you to somewhere you would really love this rock, this monolith, tells you a lot about Nigeria, etc., etc. You'll be embarrassed as to the things that you will see on your way when you get to Zuba.
Wow.
So I kind of think that the governor of Niger State, there is so much to be, well, not just the governor is one person, and he can argue that Niger State is a massive state, there are other security challenges on his hands, etc., etc.
Is it too big for him to govern?
I don't want to think so.
But that's the reason.
I don't want to think so.
I think if I'm getting you right, Malcolm, that's the reason he has commissioners, right? That's the reason he has people who are... That's the reason he has ministries, departments, and agencies that he supervises.
It is an eyesore. If you look at both sides of the road, I couldn't look. I had to concentrate on my... Oh, that reminds me. I was in Niger State this weekend, you know, just taking my children to go and see sights. The sights and sounds we always talk about. I said, oh, let me walk the talk.
and you walked into that.
And you will see Nigeria's problems. I'm like, can't we just run away from this? But guess what? It was worth it. It was so worth it. Wading through all that we had to wade through to get to these sights and sounds were so worth it. So if you do take the pains, I can assure you that it will be worth your while. You will just be lost in nature. You will say, you mean we're this blessed?
Absolutely.
Then how can we be this blessed at the same time?
Well, by the way, I have to walk the talk of the movies that he sees. Do something about it.
Wait, please, don't even. Don't forget that you are the financier of this movie that we're talking about. By the way, fun fact, guys. We understand that this Gurara waterfalls was discovered in 1745.
I hope it's not.
But guess what? Wait. Guess what? It was also discovered again by Europeans in 1925.
So two discoveries. And it was discovered again
by Mapwe in 2024.
Exactly. So who's next on this discovery voyage? Let's see. These guys don't keep deceiving everybody about themselves. All right, let's take you through some of the dailies this morning.
River State is on the front pages of almost all the papers this morning. Look at the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Restore peace in Rivers now. Tinubu orders IGP. Stories on page 6 says violence has no place in democracy. Arsonists set 3 LG secretariats ablaze. Blaze vacate council facilities. Front page of the Daily Independent has the same story. Rivers LG poll. Tinubu warns angry parties against self-help. Asks aggrieved parties fomenting trouble to go to court. Tasks security operatives to bring situation under control. 3 killed. 3 LG secretariats set ablaze. Violence spreads. Fubara condemns burning of secretariats, fingers Wike's loyalists. Rivers CJ inaugurates election petition appeals tribunals. That story is on page 29. The Vanguard newspaper has Rivers 5 killed. LG headquarters set ablaze. Chairman chased out. As Tinubu directs police to provide LG officers security. As Tinubu directs police to provide LG officers security. Burning of council facilities, act of irresponsibility. Tells Wike you can't win all fights. Inspects Ikwere LG Secretariat. Police mum over attacks. IGP withdraws personnel. Crisis may have security implications on Nigeria, according to Body George. LP vows to challenge polls in court. Clark hails Tinubu Fubara on peaceful LG polls. Stakeholders condemn violence, killings in Rivers. Action barbaric cowardice, says Emeka Bekay. Work resume in all secretariats. APP chair. Were victims of attacks, says pro-Wike APC. Find the details on the inside pages of the paper this morning. Blueprint newspaper has Rivers boils, 5 killed. Presidency orders police to restore order. Go to court over LG polls. Tinubu urges aggrieved politicians. End your feud in national interest. Body George begs Wike Fubara. The details on the inside pages. Nigerian Tribune simply has it as Rivers burns. Tinubu orders police to restore peace. Order as hoodlums set 3 LG secretariats ablaze. Violence, shootings erupt hours after IGP withdrew policemen from secretariats. Call Wike to order. He should let Fubara breathe. Body George advises Tinubu. INC wants president to pay special attention to Rivers politics. Wike should let go, Fubara says. Details on page 4. Here is the angle of the Guardian newspaper to the story. State of emergency stalks Rivers as political thugs attack councils. That story is on page 6. Daily Trust. Rivers crisis escalates. 4 LG secretariats burns. Tinubu directs IGP to restore order. My meekness, not weakness. That's from Fubara. Other details. The Daily Times has a completely different story as its lead. Tinubu to judiciary. Anti-graft war won't be won by technicalities, frivolous appeals. Restates FG's commitment to creating the right environment for judicial officers to discharge their responsibilities. Lists student loan fund, consumer credit scheme as FG's strategic initiatives to curb corruption. If you look at the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, same story leads, frivolous appeals, technicalities undermining anti-corruption efforts. That's from Tinubu. Calls for urgent judicial reforms to combat corruption in Nigeria. As CJN Kekereekun harps on collaboration between judiciary and anti-graft agencies. Business Day, of course, talking business. Chinese fintech's price play boosts mobile money to 42 trillion naira. The details of that story continue on the inside pages of the paper this morning. And these are the stories we have for you today.
So many stories to, immediately take in or, like say, digest when you look at the front pages. Of course, the Rivers situation, which we did say yesterday was a developing story, immediately sticks out like a sore thumb. But we're going to go there shortly. So let's take a look at other headlines there. I would like to focus on this one. It's occupying a very small box, but it's been in the news since yesterday without a lot of attention being given to it. And this is story. NAFDAC workers begin strike over welfare promotion. as we know, we have different types of soldiers in this country. Yes, we have the defense, the armed forces, the armed forces. You didn't see that coming, but it's the truth. I mean, we have the armed forces.
Soldiers.
They are. So, what's the name of this? I'm trying to remember them now. The National Center for Disease Control. They are also soldiers in their own right. So you don't see them as such until
they don't have enough ammunition. Those soldiers actually.
Isn't that what we called the medical officials during COVID? We call them the first line soldiers.
They're the first line charge. Yeah. They had first line charge to protect us. So I mean, in this particular instance, when it comes to the things that you consume, if these people do not put their seal of approval on it, we actually in a conundrum. So we should take this story very seriously. NAFDAC workers begin strike over welfare promotion. This story it's on the front pages as it rightly should be, but I wonder if it's getting the urgency of attention that it deserves, because we cannot afford to have NAFDAC officials. If there's anything I know about the DG of the institution, it is that she's very responsive. So there'll be big questions as to how this situation degenerated under her watch. We understand this is something that has been on since 2022. They reached an agreement with the federal government and the management of NAFDAC. According to them, there's been no tangible steps taken in that direction. And I understand there's also been a recent promotion done, but it looked like there's dissatisfaction as a result of that. So this cannot, as I say, it's an indefinite strike. It's not for 2 weeks, it's not 1 week. In other words, if you don't answer us, we'll sit down at home till whenever. We cannot afford that sort of situation. When NAFDAC is working full force, bad people are doing what they're doing. So now imagine when they don't work at all. I mean, as you were just saying before the program, we abuse our police all we want, but we don't want them to withdraw from the streets, because we know the consequences, when they eventually withdraw. That's basically what we're asking for in the area of Food and Drug Administration. That's a very serious
control.
And control, of these very vital things that we must consume.
Look, already when they're even working, just as you highlighted, most times it's just about drugs that people see a little bit of action. Well, I use that advisedly. But of course, I think they're overwhelmed, personally. I think something needs to be done about ensuring there's a lot more effectiveness. So, on the other hand, I think they'll be giving themselves probably more work. But again, is it really going to be so? Because if all of these products already get into the system, what can they do about it? Are they going to get into what? So shops, premises, to be sure that you have illegal stuff
already doing what they can. I mean, despite the fact that they are grossly understaffed and their welfare is not taken into cognizance, then we're in trouble.
I think
we've been in trouble a long time ago.
I think we generally just undermine.
More trouble now.
But do you know, there's only one question on my mind about that story. It's talking about their welfare and promotion. How about their salaries? Can we if that, I mean,
I think the same part of it.
Is inside the welfare now?
Yes, I know, but just to be clear, that they are not being owed salaries, because if they are being owed salaries, then that's an even bigger issue. Now, to the fact of what they are supposed to do is what brings me to what I'm interested in this morning. Most of the time when we talk about NAFDAC, they are largely about stuff that are imported into the country, and they're supposed to work with SON to ensure that whatever comes into the country is with the minimum benchmark. How about those things that are produced in Nigeria, particularly food? I'm particularly excited about this story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Tinubu committed to food security. That's from VP Shetima. Reminds me of an event that I was at yesterday, where they're talking about an implementation acceleration for the special agro-industrial processing zones in the country. The Minister of Finance was there and was talking about the fact that, look, if we don't produce in country, we might continue to have the problem of forex on our hands. And that, among other things, will help us to be secure. The Minister of Agriculture was also there and said the same thing, even talking about us making sure, I think someone mentioned it here earlier, patronizing Nigerian food stuff. And that's a good thing. But the question is, this acceleration, how fast will it be accelerated? It talks about the special agro-industrial processing zones around that started in 2011 under Mr. Additional as Minister of Agriculture. Whatever it was that happened at the time happened. But now that we are talking about this acceleration, this whole conversation about the SAPZ as is now started around 2022 in Nigeria. And SAPZs have been in already, from what I gathered yesterday, they are already in 12 countries of Africa, and they are working very well. Why is it not happening in Nigeria yet? That's the question. $538 million, we understand, have been seeded for this, for the first phase. And so if these things are done, and if they take off as and when due, first of all, food security. Secondly, we're producing in country, we're industrializing. Thirdly, we are not chasing forex anymore. And the most exciting of them for me is job creation. So many people will get jobs. The direct and indirect jobs, in fact, I think even the minister was talking about between 500 and 1 million jobs. So what is holding us down?
Save your breath.
8 states.
You know why they're decelerating? Somebody's not getting kickback.
Well, unfortunately,
if
Chamberlain,
get it,
unfortunately, you can't get it on this project.
It really fast.
You can't get it on this project. You know why?
That's your answer.
Because even though the money is already in the accounts of the state governments, they can't spend it because they have what they call a no objection clause. If you don't fulfill one step, you can't go the next.
Just go and check a lot of projects that are very slow. If people in the middle don't see that nothing is good, they will not give it that kind of attention. That is our stark reality. Let's wake up to it. So we have to be realistic. That is what happens.
People who only care about themselves.
That is absolutely
the big picture.
what happens. So there's no point beating about the bush here. We have to do something about it if we really want to change. Well, we'll be back and delve into the developments in River State. Don't go away.
At Emoa Local Government Council Secretariat, some youth blocked the entrance, chanting songs in solidarity with the FCT minister and insisting that the new chairman won't be allowed to take office.
Let us see you. We are very prepared. We are very prepared. We are taking over. Nothing bigger. We are right here.
In a few hours, the situation degenerates into the burning of the premises. The story is the same at Ishopu, council headquarters of Ikure local government, which is a brand new building. The administrative block is set ablaze as well. At Inchia, headquarters of Eleme local government, the council secretariat building is burned completely, with vehicles and glass shattered. The chairman blames his predecessor for the arson attack and says he has reported the incident to the police.
Well, before today, yesterday night, we gathered intelligence reports that hoodlums want to set the secretariat ablaze. We communicated this intelligence to the various security agencies, but they took it for granted. We here this morning to resume office. What we saw is not palatable. Hoodlums are set ablaze the secretariat of the local government council.
A native of Eleme condemns the incident, urging the losers to be gracious in defeat and move on with their lives.
Having sworn them in on Sunday, this morning we got a shocking report that about 2 local governments are on fire, and unfortunately one of them, the one at Ogale in Chia Element, happened to be my own local government. I want to say it's quite unfortunate. That was barbaric and that was primitive, and it shouldn't have been in this new digital age that will bring down the a local government secretariat, and that shows that they should be described as enemies of the state.
The police had earlier withdrawn their personnel from the various councils as ordered by the IGP, and this left the way clear for the new chairman to take office. Following the burnings, they are yet to release any statement on the situation. The spontaneous outbreak of unrest isn't restricted just to Eleme, Ikwere, and Emoha. There have been multiple reports of pockets of violence in Oyibo and Onelga as well. Residents will be hoping that these spits of violence are brought under control sooner than later. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
Civil defense.
All right, yes, indeed. Those are some of the issues that we'll raise here this morning. We've got Dr. Lloyd joining us virtually. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Clearly, quite a lot has happened ever since the Saturday elections in Rivers State. Unfortunately, the developments yesterday, but probably, thankfully, the police, at least from the instructions they have from the president, are expected to get back. So what can you tell us about what has happened so far before we talk about what to do moving forward?
Well, Chamberlain, I ordinarily would have advised that you direct this question to the governor of Rivers State. You recall that a day or two before the purported election, he was at the state office of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, where he told the world that he is both the governor and chairman of the commission. So I find it difficult to comment on a process that I didn't participate on. But if you ask me on a view, I would say that whatever becomes the outcome of the purported election in the state, the governor of Rivers State should be held responsible, because he had boasted even on national TV that heavens won't fall. Whatever will happen should happen. That's when the governor of a state will say this is his last fight. And you wake up in the morning, you are seeing buildings burning here and there, all in a bid to cast aspersions on a particular person. All of them have just one enemy. They have aggregated, and everything that happens, even when the minister was in Abuja yesterday, holding his meetings, carrying out his function as minister of the FCT. People are here struggling to see how many commentators they will bring to cast aspersions on the minister of the FCT. Whatever happens here is clear. Whatever happened here, the governor's chief of staff, or one of these in a year, was busy moving around with government house, police personnel, and soldiers, breaking into councils, setting places ablaze to make it look as if those who are prohibiting the minister are the ones who are the Asian provocateur. But we have said, as civilized persons, that we are not part of the process. And that was where we ended our submission to the nation. We did also, on Saturday, aggregate at the particular spot in Port Harcourt, just not to be accused of anything that will happen. Recall that there were also internal wranglings in the APP, because those who have been given tickets and all of that are neophytes into the party. They are less than a week into the party and displace the original party owners who are also in court challenging such effrontery. So for me, it is clear the governor of Rivers State, like I've always said ab initio, is not prepared for governance. All he wants to do is to hide his inadequacies and see how he can orchestrate a repeat of what he did at the Rivers State House of Assembly. You know, we see a particular trend where this governor deploys the use of arsonists, murderers, renowned countries.
But we heard over the weekend. But the governor did say over the weekend that he said there were members of The other group, perhaps your group, were mobilizing to foment trouble in the local government areas. And he said, there we go. It's been justified that he had it on good intel that was going to happen.
Chamberlain, look, if I can sit in the comfort of my parlor and say that Chamberlain has moved to CNN, I sit in the comfort of my parlor because Chamberlain presents a program on Channels TV that he has now moved to CNN. Does that make it the truth? Record that the governor is bitter, and I have said so, quoting copiously from the provisions of Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 16. King Solomon made it clear that woe betide the city whose king is a child. This governor is a dangerous driver. He has left his lane. He is now on the other lane. And everybody is in trouble. And Nigerians are watching. All of those who had one axe or the other to grind with the minister of the FCT, those who hate his gods, those who hate his supersonic rights politically, have aggregated, and eminent Nigerians are commending the governor's boldness, quote and unquote, when the courts have said, do not release register. The police have said they will not contest. So in that phase, Chamberlain, what are you asking me again? The police who ought to keep the peace. And people say, I saw someone who masquerades as a Rivers elder say that Rivers people have not done something novel in Nigerian politics, that elections can be conducted without security. When he, on a good day, even in the election that took him to the House of Representatives, he couldn't step out to vote for himself. So you see, this whole thing, all they do is to keep one in a situation where you are meant to talk about elders in a manner that shouldn't be. I saw the photograph of someone who will be on this program. That's how he was removed from the Ministry of Transport. He was sacked. Chief Abiyesi Sekimo was Obasanjo from the Ministry of Transport. And these are the people who now masquerade as leaders of Rivers State. It's so unfortunate what is going on. But we give God all the glory. The truth can only, the victory of evil over good is only temporary.
Well, we're expecting him to join soon, so we're hoping that connection.
Yeah, when he joins, let him start whether how did he leave the Ministry of Transportation?
I don't know how that is related.
What did Justice Kayode short panel in Rivers State say about him?
Dr. Chidi Lloyd, I don't know how that is related to the conversation that we're currently having.
We are talking to
if I may, I do not know how that is connected with the conversation that we're currently having now on, the aftermath of the local government elections. But when you look at what the governor of Rivers State is trying to do, he's doing no different than what the other governors of other states are trying to do. Give you an instance. In the south of Nigeria, just a moment, Dr. Chidi Lloyd, are you going to take questions or not? Just over the same weekend, local government elections were conducted in about 3 or 4 other states. Akwa Ibom is very close to Rivers State there, and the situation went very peacefully. Jigawa State also conducted its own local government elections. We didn't hear a whimper. Why is it? Why is it so, difficult for, things to just run smoothly in Rivers State? Because people will say that the governor is trying to do what every other governor is doing in his state, but apparently doesn't look like he'll be given the leeway.
No, Baba, I shudder that you are the one saying this, that the governor should be given the leeway to happen upon rule of law. Is that what you are telling me? If people in Akwa Ibom follow due process, so be it. But you cannot talk about an election to conduct an election where the court has said, do not continue with this process. Because you didn't follow. The election is not an event. I keep telling people, it's a process that culminates in an election, finally. But the process begins with proper notices to the public and to the political parties. So if you say there was no problem in Akwa Ibom, I read something about the touching of the secretariat in Ibono, local government areas. So how much more in a situation where the court of competent jurisdiction has said, because you didn't do A, B, C, D, do not proceed. And somebody comes here who is today the political dowager of River State. He has liberated River State. From which war? The Israelis are looking for liberators. The Hamas group are looking for liberators. He has not gone there to liberate them. You are trampling upon the rights of people, and people are hailing him. Only very soon, the same people who are shouting Hosanna today will also shout, crucify him. It is not the first.
It is interesting. It is interesting that you'll come up with that analogy, because some people will say that if that is the situation, then you are the one shouting, crucify him, because this was the same governor just a few months ago, you know, during the elections prior to 2023, your party brought him out and said he was the next best thing to sliced bread. And now it doesn't appear that, you know, you are still singing that same song. It does appear that you're doing one now saying, crucify him. So what precisely has happened?
This is what makes us human. I wish I knew. I wish we knew. Recall that the Bible has said that the heart of man is desperately wicked. This wasn't what we saw before we narrowed down on him. And after all, if you say this of me, I am not told that anybody gave Judas Iscariot to Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God. He's Joseph. Jesus chose Judas. But that is neither here nor there before one becomes blasphemous. The issue is that we are saying that the rule of law must be followed strictly. Any affront on the Constitution is a call for anarchy. Although I can tell you what happened.
So what rule of law wasn't followed, Mr. Lloyd?
Ayo, I would wish I can send you the electronic copy of Justice Peter Liffield's judgment, full judgment, so that you look at it. The notices we are not giving to the political parties. Recall that 90 days before the expiration of the tenure of the chairman, that the Independent National Electoral Commission shall be made to make a 90 days notice. Thereafter, there will be notices to the political parties. Thereafter, in fact, even what law guided the operation of the conduct of the election? The State Assembly, Section 22, Section 23, and 8 of the River State House of Assembly Independent Electoral Commission law states copiously what should be done. And you know, I had the privilege of authoring that law, the River State Independent Electoral Commission law. So I can tell you what the provisions are there. So when we see all of this not followed, and people are saying the structure has changed, the structure has been taken, what structure has been taken? That you start a government house and wrote names of 23 people who couldn't access their offices because of the infighting in the so-called political party. Then you say you have won. No, that is not the time. When it is time, we will know. All of these who are running around the government today they couldn't deliver their units. These are internally displaced politicians who masquerade as elders. Today they are in Abuja. The next day when it is favorable here, they came here. They will return and say they are down. People who swore on the lives of their children that they will never support Governor Siminalayi Fubara. And today is Men Friday, but we don't envy them.
So what do you think should have happened? Because do you think it is possible for... How should the election have been stopped in the first place? The court cannot stop the election, can the court? Besides, it wasn't just the state government that made any pronouncement. It's INEC that also said, look, this process cannot be stopped. So exactly how should this happen?
I don't know where you are putting from. INEC came out and said, we will not give register. We shall give you register. Pursuant to the judgment of Justice Peter Liffey. Let's even assume do not concede. You see, we are setting, or they are setting very dangerous precedents in River State. When judgments of court cannot be obeyed, the police has told you that the court said we shouldn't participate in the process. Therefore, we are staying away. I don't.
Seems that line is suddenly frozen.
It does appear that we've lost him temporarily. But Mr. Chidi Lloyd, if you, Dr. Chidi Lloyd, if you can still hear us, I just want to know. Okay, it does appear that we've lost him completely, but we will do our best to reestablish the connection in that regard. But as soon as we do, we'll also let you know. So this conversation, I think that, you know, there needs to be responsibility taken for what happened in Port Harcourt yesterday. Because, you know, we saw at least 4 local government, the secretariats of 4 local governments go up in flames. So clearly, Dr. Chidi Lloyd and, you know, people within his party and his own faction are unhappy. And some people will say, oh, they have the greatest reason to have actually caused the mayhem and the chaos that happened in Rivers yesterday. And some other people will argue and say, well, it could have been other factors just to try and paint the other party black, as he seems to be suggesting. But then, you know, there needs to be, okay, I can see that, Dr. Lloyd, you're back now. Can you hear us?
Yes, thanks, Mother.
Yes. So I was just saying that yesterday, what we saw as the aftermath of the elections, because clearly your party and yourself, from all that you have said, you are aggrieved. You are unhappy about how the process has gone down for the local government elections, which you say due process wasn't followed. And some people will say you now have reason to have caused the mayhem that we saw in Port Harcourt yesterday and in a number of local government secretariats, which, you know, were set ablaze. Would you say that members of your party and your support group took part in what we saw yesterday in Rivers?
I heard you clearly in the statement before preceding the one you made now. You know me. I'm not a violent man. So to choose to go upon that secretariat, does it remove does it resolve all of the issues in court? Burning down the secretariat now.
I think it's frozen again. Okay, well, we'll try and get that connection back. We're also trying to see to get Dr. Abiye Sekibo on as well, since he was scheduled to be on the program. So we're waiting to establish that connection and have him also respond to some of these issues that are being raised at the moment. Because we also do know that, I mean, there are images circulating, videos circulating in Obiakpor local government area. Much as the governor did say, look, there's got to be peace. Because, I mean, if there isn't peace in any state, I don't know how any governor can govern. So he said, look, there's got to be peace, and he wants peace. Oh, by the way, let's let you listen to the police. You know, the police are also in the fray here. The statement that came through from the president, the directive, also came up. And then before that, you know that the police also issued a statement saying, listen, we're acting on court orders. But here is the force public relations officer speaking about this directly.
Edo elections. IGP commends personnel, security agencies for successful conduct, professionalism. As he commiserates with families of Kano officers who died in accidents, the Inspector General of Police of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, IGP Olukayode Adeoluegbetukun, PhD 9 PM, has commended the Nigerian Police Force personnel and other security agencies for their exceptional professional conduct during the recently concluded Edo State governorship elections. The peaceful conduct of the governorship election serves as a testament to the dedication and hard work of the security forces. The IGP specifically expresses appreciation for the exemplary display of discipline and neutrality exhibited by security personnel throughout the election period. Their commitment to maintaining law and order, ensuring public safety, and protecting the democratic process is truly commendable. In the same vein, the IGP also salutes the courage, maturity, and resilience of the good people of Edo State for their orderliness and exhibition of democratic values during the polls, urging them to remain calm law-abiding, and vigilant, even as the electoral process has been peacefully concluded. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolebetokun, assures members of the public of steadfastness in the commitment of the Nigerian Police Force to ensuring the safety and security of the people of Nigeria. The IGP has therefore directed tactical squads and intelligence contingents to remain in the state to continue to fortify security measures until further notice. This proactive measure aims to maintain stability and public safety throughout Edo State. All arrested persons for electoral offences will be prosecuted by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, while those arrested for other criminal offences will be arraigned before the court on completion of investigations. The Nigerian Police Force reaffirms its unwavering commitment.
All right, we apologize for that. That is the wrong clip. The Force PRO did actually speak about all of those matters. He also did say they were acting on court orders. They had conflicting court orders. And of course, when you had that, if you obey the first one, you know how some of those things can be. But ever since then, the president had directed that they provide security, and the police themselves also going on with that in that light. Well, we've got Dr. Chidi Lloyd back. You were asking a question of him.
I was indeed, and I heard Dr. Chidi Lloyd say that I know him. He's not a violent man. I was just going to say, well, you're just somebody who got angry enough to use a mace on somebody's head some time ago when you were in the House of Assembly. I don't know, but you know, let's even put that incident behind us. We've since seen the president's statement. The president is not exonerating anyone, and he seems to know where the problem lies. If you're to look very critically, he said he's called on Governor Siminalayi Fubara, political leaders and their supporters in Rivers State to exercise restraint and uphold the rule of law. In other words, I mean, he says, the statement says he urged all political actors to de-escalate the situation and discourage their supporters from engaging in violence or destructive actions. In other words, the president knows where this is coming from. He knows that this is the job of political actors. So, I mean, the question is, what part are you willing to take in the blame for what has transpired in Rivers? Because clearly, this is not the first time we've seen arson. But what happened yesterday is the kind of thing that should not happen in any democracy, in any state at all, because of local government elections.
We have joined well-meaning Nigerians to condemn the brigade that took place yesterday. You recall that I liked it when you said the president knows where this is coming from. You recall that once upon a time we were before Mr. President in Abuja, wherein he sought political solution to all of the problems that we are brewing. Apparently, the president foresaw what would happen and intervened. And an 8-point agreement was reached, and signatures were appended to those agreements, including that of the governor of the state. When we came back, your guess is as good as mine as to the party that did not keep its own part of the bargain, as to the party that has not presented a valid budget to the state assembly, and to the party that is still not paying 27 members of the River State House of Assembly, and so on. And as to the party that came back here and now started sponsoring litigations, nudging people to go to court to thwart what the president had said. What we collectively agreed with the president, which was read to us by no less a person than Dr. Peter Odili, the former governor of Rivers State. And agreements were reached, signatures are pending. So that is where we are. Of course, what the president should do is what he has done. Ask parties, whoever is doing this, to sheath their sword.
Dr. Chidi Lloyd, I think the point I'm trying to make is clearly you are very aggrieved. I mean, anyone listening to you would know that, you know, you have listed a litany of the things that the governor has since done wrong. But I'm looking at the president's statement here, and I'm going to read it in tandem with one of the dailies here. The statement of the president also says that self-help has no place in a democratic system, especially after 25 years of continuous democracy. According to the president, the judiciary can settle all political disputes, and the outcome of this election should be no exception. Do you believe that?
Absolutely. As a lawyer, I have read copiously the judgment of Ojukwu against the government of Lagos State, where the Supreme Court had said that resort to self-help over the ownership of Vilalasti was not the right way to go. And all men of goodwill have condemned resort to self-help. So I joined the president in saying that it is something that everybody knows, that we cannot resort to self-help. But I want to say it on this program, that what you saw yesterday, what you saw happen in River State yesterday, across the local government area, have nothing to do with members of the People's Democratic Party. I can tell you that for free.
So who do you think the president could be referring to? Because if it's not members of your party who are aggrieved and who are resorting to self-help, who do you think he could be referring to?
I wish I was the commissioner of police. But if you ask me, there are more aggrieved persons as a result of the fallout of the local government process. Amongst them, there were people who thought they had rights to return. There were people who thought they were the original owners of the APP, and there are those who they have reached alliance with in the party they call YPP, and so on and so forth. All of these pseudo political parties that masquerade where they were trying to find their footing. But I will leave that.
Ultimately, Dr. Chidi Lloyd, ultimately, what seems to be happening is, citing the statement that Malcolm just quoted, it all goes back to one thing and one thing only, and that is the fact that the political class in Rivers State has questions to answer, both to the people of Rivers State and to Nigerians. And it's common knowledge that politicians are largely loyal to whatever it is that the interest is at any given point in time. One is not sure whether the fellow who is a leader of a particular political party today is going to remain there tomorrow, would have moved 2 or 3 parties in 24 hours. So what do you think should be the way forward now? Particularly because we know that this is all related to politics in Rivers State. What should be the way forward? When are we going to have a kind of conversation among political parties, particularly the political class? They'll sit down and say, you know what, the interests of our people first, and other interests will follow.
I can feel your pain. I know what you are about saying is that where do we live in Rivers State in all of this? This is one thing that has caused me sleepless nights, how we brought this upon ourselves. So to that extent, I will take responsibility for the role I played in the emergence of Governor Siminala Efubara. We wrote on the mantra of continuity and consolidation. So, but what we do, I had said on your program, on one of your programs, that what God cannot do does not exist. And as a good Catholic, I have gone back to my rosary and with my knees on the floor 24 hours, praying ceaselessly for God to intervene. That is the only resort. For me, that is the only thing I can do. I cannot be seen as a former university teacher, former lawmaker, and so on, resorting to burning down critical facilities. What would my students say to me? And so on and so forth. So I have resorted to praying ceaselessly. That is why I have not been in public for some time, because I have gone on to the mountains to seek help, because I have asked from where does my help come from. And the Bible has assured me from where the help will come from.
Not from the judiciary? I mean, because yes, we know the Bible passage very well. The help comes from the Lord.
Absolutely.
But what about it? Have you given up completely on the judiciary?
God forbid. God forbid I give up on the judiciary. This is when my hope is more strengthened. But you see, I'm also praying for the judiciary to be able to take the right decisions, not to be cowed, not to be blackmailed. And I'm very happy with the statements emanating from the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Honorable Justice on how judicial officers should discharge their duties without fear or favor.
The question I'll be asking is, what will you be asking from the courts, given that you did not even participate in the process?
Well, we are not. This is what you should understand. There are litigations. There were litigations before the process. So I will not go to be challenging the outcome of a process I did not partake. But we will now ensure that all of the ones that were started, even the ones that were started not by our political party. I recall that there are a litany of litigations surrounding this whole macabre dance that took place on the 5th of October. It must not necessarily be our party that went to court, but whatever judgment comes that emanates from there will inure, of course, on everybody for us to obey, like the judgment of Justice Peter Liffew of the Federal High Court.
So just as we wind down, but many have also said, some erroneously kept on saying that the courts stopped the election, and they said no, courts are not to stop elections.
Chamberlain, I availed you. Chamberlain, I recall I availed you the last paragraph of Justice Peter Liffew's judgment, and I know that Channels as an organization has a legal department. Can you hear from your legal people in your department and take your own?
No. Let's hear from you. I mean, you were a former lecturer in law. Are you saying that the court can stop it?
The judgment was clear. The judgment was clear. Because you did not do A, B, C, D, do not proceed. It wasn't written in Chinese language. Neither was it written in any other language. The English was clear. It was unambiguous.
Even if they did not proceed, Dr. Lloyd, even if they did not proceed on this particular day and they proceeded another time and they proceed 3 years later or they proceed for whenever it is they proceeded, some people will say, what outcomes were you really looking for? They're local government elections, and we know that in this country, in this country, we know that the local government elections are always dominated. The results and the outcomes are always dominated by the party that the governor wants to win. So what outcomes were you actually hoping will be different in Rivers?
Is that so? My boy, you are just telling me this now. I recall that Governor Nasiru, former Governor Nasiru El-Rufai, former Governor Nasiru El-Rufai of Kaduna State had conducted an election in Kaduna State where other political parties won. But it doesn't matter what political party cleared the seats. What is important is the process. Nobody is quarreling. We do not have imaginary winners or imaginary those who must be local government chairmen. Even quoting the governor's speech on the day he was inaugurating the so-called winners of the election, he told them that if things were done normally, who dies monkey banana? This is quoting the governor copiously. He said so. That if things were to be done properly, he shouldn't have been there. That who dashed monkey banana?
All right.
Yesterday I heard somebody refer to the governor of Rivers State as Governor Sibilai Fubara of Rivers State, alias Jungle Don't Mature. Imagine Rivers State, but I cannot absolve myself of the blame.
Okay, so you said you're looking from where your help will come from. So
severally, not this upon the state.
All right, we'll have to thank you for coming on. Dr. Lloyd, former member, Rivers State House of Assembly, former chairman of a local government, and also former lecturer, Department of Private and Public Law, UNEC. Thank you for talking to us this morning.
Thank you, John Balin. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
All right, we also did try to get Dr. Abiy Sekiwa, but he was not able to make the program. And then we'll be expecting to hear from the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State. He is scheduled to also speak at 10 in just 2 minutes or thereabout, if not any time from now. Okay, so coming up Business Morning on Sunrise, it will be on the hour. Don't go away.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We do business for just about 30 minutes. This morning, we will start from what's going on with the Naira, how it closed yesterday, and we can tell you that the Naira, well, it was mixed bag when we look at the NAFEX and the NAFEM. So we see for NAFEM, 1,635 Naira 15 kobo, lost 0.24%. I think that's about 3 Naira 94 kobo. That's what this is equal to. And then NAFEX was on the flip side, was a gain of 1.53%. But we know by now that, the major demand goes to NAFEM. That's where we have a more realistic number right there. Now, let's see what's happening with oil today. Prices fell $1. I can tell you more than 1% in some cases on Tuesday. So traders took profit from a rally in the previous session that lifted the market to its highest level in over a month, and fears that the Middle East war could be on the brink of a region-wide war, unfortunately. So looking at the numbers now, more than 1%, about $1.31 for Brent. That's what it lost, 1.6%. Hanging on to $79.62, while for WTI, the West Texas Intermediate Futures, also more than $1 was lost, $1.29. That's about 1.7% to stop at $75.85 right there. And of course, the regional conflict is a major driver of it at this time. Fighting in the region intensified after Iran backed Hezbollah, fired rocket at Israel's third largest city, Haifa, and Israel looked poised to expand its offensive into Lebanon 1 year after this attack, and it doesn't look like we're seeing an end to it, unfortunately. Still talking oil here, back here, Nigeria's Africa's biggest refinery, Dangote oil refinery, is due to take off 400,000 barrels per day of crude, Nigerian crude, and this month and in November, in the next 2 months, as it's increasing turns to local feedback. According to a report, the expected rollout of approximately 24 million barrels over the next 2 months follows the announcement by the federal government that it has commenced Naira for crude agreement with the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery. Latest crude allocation also indicates that Dangote has reduced its reliance on U.S. crude oil, having earlier imported millions of barrels of U.S. WTI. Just last month, Dangote Refinery reached an agreement with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited under the state-owned energy firm that will supply crude oil in exchange for becoming the sole distributor of gasoline that it introduced. Well, I guess it's also important to bring to the knowledge of our viewers at this time the issue of, importing crude. It seems from my conversation background with some experts in the line that this may be a necessity, and that is because mixing both our brands, which is of very high quality and of high price also, with crude like the WTI of another grade, which is cheaper. We always see the price right there, about $4, at least $4 cheaper than Brent, is a more economical way or mix for producing petrol or other petroleum products in the country. So perhaps when we do hear of refiners importing importing crude, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but a necessity to reduce costs of production. So we may have, since we do know that Dangote has imported a lot of WTI even before now, so with this 400,000 barrels per day that they're going to be supplied for 2 months, it may be a mixture of it. And I've been told by some experts that it is not necessarily a wrong thing or a bad thing for your devices which you will use. Now, away from that, the 8th edition of the World Investor Week is open and it started in Lagos. The event is held globally from October 7 to 13, and it provides a platform to explore financial literacy, investor protection, sustainable finance, and digital finance. It's being hosted in Nigeria by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Nigeria's Security and Exchange Commission is joining its counterparts in the International Organization of Securities Commissions to celebrate World Investor Week 2024 with the theme Technology and Digital Finance, Crypto Assets and Sustainable Finance. The focus suggests new opportunities but also new risks.
In Nigeria, the rapid adoption of mobile technology and digital payments demonstrates the immense potential for growth in digital finance, and it's starting, and we think it's a revolution that will continue. As we embrace these innovations, SEC therefore assures the capital market, or wish to assure the capital market, that we will work assiduously with other regulators within Nigeria to adopt frameworks that will protect investors. Our desire is to ensure that technological advances are deployed responsibly and that the market participants understand the risks associated with digital finance, such as cybersecurity threats and data privacy issues.
Regulators, stakeholders, and the government would have to build a structure to accommodate the new products and risks.
As these themes evolve, digitization, asset tokenization, crypto, DeFi, decentralized finance, ESG securities, as these products and the interest for these from investors evolve, capital markets operators must stay at the forefront of innovating and developing products that are properly structured with investor protection in mind to deliver access to these investments in the capital markets.
There's a lot of acceptance and encouragement from the Lagos state government.
Our state has always embraced forward-thinking solutions to foster economic growth, drive financial inclusion, and create wealth. If there's anywhere to explore new ideas, to experiment, then Lagos will be that place.
As part of this year's celebration, the Securities and Exchange Commission has promised to conduct investor clinics in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt for the period of the celebration. That's it, it's still on, so perhaps you want to get more informed as an investor in Nigeria. Now let's talk about those issues, especially Dangote, PMS, very hot issues. And we're doing that with Dumebi Oluwole, a senior associate with financial derivatives company. Hi Dumebi, been a while, good to see you.
Yes, it has. Good morning, good to see you too, Amy.
So you come with good news. Dangote is going to be getting 400,000 barrels per day crude from NNPCL. Does this mean security for us, at least for PMS, which seems to be the most basic and needed petroleum product in the country?
Yeah, to an extent, yes, it does. What this will do for the Dangote refineries, to an extent, reduce their cost. Because this is not going to be given to them in US dollars, so they will be getting
but it's in Naira, but it's still in the predominant exchange rate. It's not like there's anybody subsidizing anything.
Yes, but the important thing here is, number one, when you consider the shipping cost from bringing it overseas into Nigeria, that cost is significantly reduced. There's also the exchange rate impact of, for instance, getting it at 1,580 Naira to a dollar, just using that example. example now, compared to a blended rate of 1,700 and then 1,580, that to an extent reduces the exchange rate margin as well that the Dangote refinery would have incurred on getting the crude, externally or importing it. So what this does to an extent, it just shields them from external shocks that could have affected their cost of production, also from the exchange rate as well. The important thing here is that, number one, Dangote now has access to crude on a sustainable basis that would allow them.
For 2 months.
Well, this is 2 months of production compared to what we're getting, what they were getting earlier, which was almost nothing, right? So this is a crucial point, and the expectation is that this will be sustained.
But this doesn't translate to cheaper petrol at the pump.
To an extent, yes. So the reason why we're saying, well, I was going to get there, but basically what this means is that they're able to produce sustainably. At least their production will continue, and they'll continue to supply. And the other aspect, or the other domino to also consider now, is that other independent marketers will now also have access to get petroleum from the Dangote refinery, even though it doesn't translate to cheaper prices for now, simply because we're in a new exchange rate regime. Production is just coming up. Dangote will obviously have to recoup its costs, and then there's also a significant change in petroleum prices. It doesn't necessarily mean that prices are going to drop significantly, but what it does mean is that the price differentiation margin between what NNPC will be selling and what other independent markets will be selling will narrow. So for instance, we have at the pump price for NNPC going about 867 to in some places you have 900, but in other independent markets you see some sellers even going for as high as 1,000 naira per liter. So that margin will be bridged to an extent because now they're getting from the Dangote refinery, and this doesn't mean
goodbye to subsidy.
Well, to an extent, yes, it does mean goodbye to subsidy.
Because
but again,
if the
what is happening
are going
now
to be getting direct from Dangote, I don't think there's a government intervention there. Perhaps there's a government intervention when the NNPC gets from Dangote.
Yes, because when you think of it like any normal business that has like a large wholesaler coming to buy from them, and you have other smaller retailers and other smaller sellers coming to buy from them. So what it means is that the NNPC most likely would get at a discount rate because they are going to purchase a lot more, and which is normal. It happens in a lot of businesses, while other independent marketers might not be able to get at that same discounted price. So that's why I said, in terms of pricing, the price differentiation will be there, but the margin will narrow. It doesn't necessarily mean that price of petrol is going to significantly come down. What it does mean for consumers is that there will be supply at the pumps for people to actually get crude. In essence, we should not be seeing significant queues at filling stations.
Except at NNPC, because everybody wants something cheaper.
People want to get, exactly. Of course, and that's normal.
But there's also the fear of monopoly. That was also one of the issues around, because if everybody is going to Dangote now, I'm thinking of the infrastructure, the logistics, to get it from Dangote to the whole of Nigeria. Doesn't that pose another kind of risk?
Yes, it does. So the logistics issue, which is extremely important to at least make sure that the price is actually sustainable. And what this definitely calls for is an increase in investments towards infrastructure leading up to the Dangote refinery, and ensuring that also the transportation of petroleum from the Dangote refinery to other states, or even in Lagos alone, that infrastructure is also built. And we do know that there's a lot of pipes, and even like the rail station. This lies on the government. There's no other definition, so there's no other answer to it. So there is that call for that to happen. Then in terms of the monopoly risk, there is that risk as well, because if everybody is buying from one person, it does mean that there's one buyer and many sellers, and that risk is definitely there. And what this also calls for is an increased investment or increased timeline for the government to ensure that their other refineries are also working. All the defunct modular refineries, the Port Harcourt refinery, the investments that have been pumped into those resources need to start benefiting the entire economy, so that marketers have diverse suppliers that they can get petroleum resources from.
What does this mean to commodities prices?
So for now, what this means is that commodities prices relatively might not necessarily change, because there is that pass-through effect and the time lag between when independent marketers will get those resources and when it begins to translate to reduced logistics costs, and then reduced transportation costs, and then reduced commodity prices. So the pass-through effect is definitely going to take a while. So if this is happening for 2 months,
it won't take a while.
We've always seen that price stickiness with Nigerian Nigerian economy. It is, and to be very fair, it's not something that is very far-fetched when you look at other developing markets. That price transmission mechanism is always very interesting to watch, where when there's an increase in cost, prices increase significantly, and when there's a decline in cost, it takes a longer time. Yes, and the lag we've seen, at least from the IMF estimates and even from our own estimates, we've seen that the time lag between when prices decline and when they eventually translate to lower prices are about 3 to 6 months, in some extent 6 to 12 months.
And anything can happen at that time.
Exactly.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
But by just looking at it on face value, these are the initial implications that we do expect.
All right, maybe we'll have to stop there. Thank you so much for your time. Hope to see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll take this conversation further.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right, great. Let's take a break now. When we come back, well, all of this boils down to who's doing business. Perhaps we need more entrepreneurs in the country. Can we afford more entrepreneurs? We'll have that conversation after the break. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Still Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We're talking about how to make entrepreneurs now to boost economic activities in our real sector. And we're having that conversation with an entrepreneur himself. He is Engineer Nnamdi Unachuku. He's an entrepreneur. He's also the senior consultant and founder of Business Matters Incubators Finishing School. Joins us right here in the studio. Engineer Nnamdi, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Thank you, Ini. Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
Yeah, so we're talking of having more entrepreneurs in Nigeria to boost activities in the real sector, the non-oil sector and all of that. But shouldn't we begin with not policies now, but implementation of policies that will encourage more people? Because we're talking of taxation, that's on the one hand. We're talking of infrastructure, that's on the one hand. We just talked about energy, security in the country. These are things that entrepreneurs will need, which seem difficult to access at this time in the country.
Yeah, thank you for that. When you talk about entrepreneurship as a subject, it has helped so much in developed economics and like our own economy here. We are talking about just post-independence, but we don't have economic independence. So it's entrepreneurs that can just help the country to emerge when it comes to economic independence. And when you talk about what is happening right now and our economy, the state of our economy, you discover that most of the approach, past government, current government, has always been, a kind of a short-term approach. What do we do to encourage more entrepreneurs, give money to graduating students, and then see how they can do things, and afterward, they will just blow it up. But what I would advise is that government will look at mid to long term, 10 years down the line. The entrepreneurs should emerge, more entrepreneurs should emerge, and we need to catch them young. You need to go down to primary school, junior secondary school, begin to inculcate in them the mindset of an entrepreneur. And of course, when we talk about entrepreneurs, who are they? Entrepreneurs are the innovators, problem solvers, who will come into an economy and bring in dynamism and diversity in the business landscape. So these are the job of entrepreneurs. So we need more now, and they are the drivers of the economy. So Nigeria should look at the long term, because when you
that's why I asked. That's why I started by asking. We have policies on paper. We have PEBEC, overseeing ease of doing business.
Yes.
Now we have the time where you're dealing with the proposed reforms to make the tax environment more transparent, and friendly. We're talking of infrastructure. People want to go into business, and then they have to spend so much on energy. So are these not the things we should look at? I mean, in some countries, you want to register your business, even though now I think to an extent we've dealt with that. You sit down in your room and then you register your business in a couple of minutes. Shouldn't these be the things that should be catered for if we want more people to get into the entrepreneurial landscape?
Okay, remember what I said, talking about the policies and implementations. They are good policies. And today, CAC, you can be in the comfort of your home, also register companies. And there are other, initiatives that government of the day is promoting to encourage entrepreneurship. But like you know, it's a systemic issue. Over the time, over the period, things has gone so bad, and it requires a lot of rejig. And that's what I think the government is doing, bringing on more policies, to overtake the ones that have been existing that, became dormant at some point. But it's a holistic thing. When you talk about infrastructure, also you look at the other end, which is finance. How do I encourage entrepreneurs? Most of them get there when you're trying to contain the inflationary rate. The money policymakers and the monetary policymakers are now bringing up so many, stuff that could help them monitor or control inflation. That affects the entrepreneur. And that's why most of them are just pulling out, because you couldn't just take a loan today for 25%, and tomorrow you are paying at 40%, something you didn't plan for. So the whole economic environment is hostile to entrepreneurs. It's discouraging. But I believe the government is working towards it, because that's the best we can do. But what I insist on is that we need more entrepreneurs. The more entrepreneurs I'm talking about is not those who will run away when it is tough. The real entrepreneurs, they persist. They remain there, because you have developed that mindset of resilience, believing that this tough time does not last. You are going to get it better, down the line. But if you see people who just come in, they always jump out. So the real entrepreneurs always create a mindset. It's a real mindset. And that's why I keep promoting, why don't we push it to the young and begin now at Crude, while they are still young and forming their mind, to create this entrepreneurial mindset in them, so that when they come out, they will have these intentions and, help Nigeria to build. That's exactly the way I think
that begs the question, are entrepreneurs born or made?
The entrepreneurs are made. I can't say it anywhere, because anything you can teach in life, the children of today, they are laden with a lot of talent. The only reason why those talents die down is because nobody to mentor them, nobody to coach them, nobody to teach them what to do. So if we go down, and meet them while they are still forming their mindset and be able to push in this entrepreneurial mindset in them, they grow with it. And there's nothing like entrepreneurs are made. Anywhere, look at sports, the real professionals are the ones that started at age 8, 9, they are professionals. Look at music, those who started from church choir as young, they're doing well today. So having seen what entrepreneurship can do to this economy, we should pay more attention to entrepreneurs. We should pay more attention to that as a project.
Are you suggesting a rejig to our curriculum in school?
Definitely. That's where I'm just looking at. We need more sophisticated curriculum or curricula for secondary school and primary. Today they talk about entrepreneurship at the university level. At the university level, most of those youth are already thinking of how to make it big. The entrepreneur starts small and look at, monitor the journey and then follow it up. Now, what we're looking at now, what I'm kind of advising is that we look at our curriculum and tweak some things there. It's almost outdated, it's over 30 years and we're still using it. But if you look at what is happening in other world, like the developing, like the EU, are encouraging their schools to bring in entrepreneurship in their curriculum. Even Rwanda here, they started implementing that in almost 10 years now, about 2012. So Nigeria, we don't have any excuse. We need to do something about it. Now, you get them through the system, the education. That's where the children will begin to. And not just entrepreneurship, just letters or, all those grammar. It's practical, hands-on. You talk about, vocational education, rapid with entrepreneurship, craft, rapid with entrepreneurship. So that if the child comes out and the child knows how to do painting or knows how to do tiling, they will bring innovation in it, because that's the job of an entrepreneur, to bring innovation, to do it the better way. It helps the society, it promotes, lifestyle. It helps entire landscape, like what we call about the socio-economic good of the nation. That's what entrepreneurs do, any day, anytime.
All right, I hear you. Entrepreneurs are not born, they are made. Anybody can be an entrepreneur.
Anybody, even you.
Even myself, yeah.
But it's becoming too late for you to learn. It's becoming more of a professional.
I have the heart of a child. so I can always learn.
Oh, why not? You are good for it. You are good. But you need to go back to primary school and start learning.
Word.
Step by step.
Okay.
It takes a lot.
I'll leave it to my children then.
Of course, you need to encourage them. So what we're begging is for the school owners, the stakeholders, the parents, the policymakers, on education, to think of how to bring in entrepreneurship. I can tell you that they are working on it because I have consulted to one or two, parastatals, and they are surely looking at it. Like UBEC is looking at it. They have what they call school to work. So I've met them and said, let's roll it out. But they are waiting for it to be perfect. But now when you bring entrepreneurship training around it, you roll immediately. What we're doing with Lagos State, we started what they call pilot scheme. Because my organization, we have a methodology, we develop a methodology called the 6 Sense to approach entrepreneurship training.
I guess you also have to convince the parents too.
Yeah, the parents
to embrace it.
Begin to act. And there's job for parents, how to, avail their tacit knowledge on their young by, making sure they come back. Instead of doing all those numerous say grammar only as homework, you now have entrepreneurship as homework, telling them how to do things.
All right, Engineer Nnamdi Unachiku, an entrepreneur. I'm calling parents to bring in their children as entrepreneurs or train them as entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for your time and wish you the best. I know it to be for the good of the whole nation and the economy.
Thank you, Ini, and thank you, viewers.
Yeah. All right, now just before we head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio, let's see how the market closed yesterday. Well, good thing is it closed in the positive, retaining, that gain that it had intraday, but we are not yet at 98,000, still at 97, close at 97,706.70. The market gained over 107 billion naira, good one. We are back on the 56 trillion naira for the market cap. Activity chart was mostly green. Banking was down, however, consumer goods and all of that. Top trades were the unusual ones, tantalizers, UBA. But we saw that in oil and gas, major move. MTN moved the market yesterday, but we saw O&O and Seplat again back as major movers of their counter. So that's the much we can take. I'll be back at 1 p.m. with Ladi Williams, where we'll take you around the world of business in 55 minutes. You get intraday numbers and a whole lot of gist from the world of business. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Let's head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio.
Okay, so welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Yes, as you've seen there, we've got Mr. Kunle Edun, who will be joining us on this segment of the program. But before he comes on, the EFCC held this capacity building workshop, a 2-day one, where it was with Judicial Institute, and the chairman did speak about some challenges, some of the things he thinks that we should pay attention to if we really want to move the needle. Have a listen to just a very short piece.
The incidents of suspects facing criminal investigations rushing to court to obtain orders of injunction, restraining the Commission from inviting, investigating, interrogating, and arresting them, including some state governments, has become rampant and worrisome. At the last count, the Commission is unable to conduct investigation in at least 10 states of the Federation.
Wow, 10 states. They cannot do any investigation as of yet. Mr. Edu, good morning and thank you for joining us. By the way, congratulations. You're now Senior Advocate of Nigeria. It's been a long time coming. Must have been a huge sigh of relief for you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, so let's start with this particular one before we get into another matter, which you also probably kickstarted that one. But for this one that the EFCC has raised concerns about, they can't do any investigation in 10 states. So one wonders, is it that the judiciary may be missing something here? Because, I mean, we all know that if we need to stamp out corruption in the country, agencies such as the EFCC have got to do a job. So how do you think the judiciary, do you think that they even see this in the same light? Because many wonder, how is it that their hands are tied, they can't do anything in 10 states?
Shepard, thank you very much. Let me start by commending my noble Lord, the Honorable, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, my Lord Kudirat Kekere Ekun, for the statement that my Lord made at the event yesterday, where my Lord stated that the judiciary is ready to partner with EFCC and other crime-busting agencies with regards to stamping out corruption. That was very, very comforting and welcoming. And that goes to tell that the judiciary has actually, in my own personal view, has actually not done much with regards to stamping out corruption. Because I know, as a matter of fact, that many of the cases that are actually filed in court, you see cases that have been in court for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They will go on appeal. Before you know what, when they come back after 6, 7 years, the witnesses are either they have disappeared or no longer interested. They are looking for the witnesses. We cannot fight corruption that way. And the judiciary happens to be a very critical stakeholder in fighting corruption. The Hydra-headed problem of corruption is actually affecting every segment of the society, even including the judiciary itself. And we need all hands to be on deck to get this thing resolved. And we may not be able to start it out completely, but at least substantially we should be able to do that. And the statement made by my Lord is very, very welcoming, and I believe that it has set the tone for what we are going to see in the next few months, few years, with regards to how the judiciary is going to tackle issues of corruption. And, you know, it's quite painful. It's quite really painful because I know, as a matter of fact, that many of the cases filed by EFCC are cases that ordinarily, you know, when you look at counts, because EFCC also has a share to blame here too. 60 counts, 70 counts, over what? Over what? Why not just file the number of counts that you think you can actually prosecute very well? So that is also a problem itself. And EFCC itself also needs to get competent hands, competent lawyers. Because I also handle cases against filed by EFCC against some of my clients, and I can tell you that the level of prosecution is not really top notch. You know, when we are talking about a crime-busting agency like EFCC, we should have the best hands in terms of prosecution. And I know of a few of the hands that are very, very good, and they have there. But some of them they need to either go for proper training or retraining with regards to, you know, their appreciation, particularly with regards to legal procedures and even the provisions of the SCJA. I know, can I tell you something for free? Even the SCJA has actually made provision for day-to-day trial with respect to criminal cases and corruption cases. But we don't see that happening. We don't see that happening.
Okay, so that, if I could just jump in, my apologies on that one. Is there anything that either the NBA can do? I know there's Legal Aid Council, because chances are that the commission will say, look, we're an anti-corruption agency. We may not have huge purse, so we're only limited within our resources. So they will need external help from agencies and different groups who've got the interest of the country at heart to probably partner with them, maybe in the light of what you've spoken about, training and retraining, to ensure that whatever it is that they can afford, perhaps will also be up to scratch.
That was where I was actually going.
Okay, great.
I can actually tell you here that the NBA presently is partnering with INEC with regards to prosecution of election offenders. So I actually have 3 cases found out to me by INEC, which I was directed to prosecute. And I know as a fact also that the NBA president, under the leadership of Alpha Musigwe, the NBA is ready to do that. But the question is that is CFCC ready to partner with the NBA? The NBA is, because we have about 100 to almost 130 branches all over Nigeria. So we are well covered throughout the federation. And the NBA, in each of these 130 branches, we have human rights committees. We can actually set up special committees for this purpose. So the NBA is willing and ready to do that. I don't think NBA will run away from that, because the motto of the NBA is promoting the rule of law. And when we talk about promoting the rule of law, it also entails stamping out corruption. So we are a willing partner for EFCC to engage But the question now is that would ESCC engage us? So that is a different thing. So
why do you think they will not engage you?
I wouldn't know. So because you know why I'm saying so? Because I recall that during the leadership of the immediate past president of the NBA, YC Mekia SN, there was a seminar sort of that was held between the NBA and security agencies. Even I think some military chiefs were there too. DSC was there, ICPC was there. I think FRSC was there. You understand? We talk about this partnership, but I don't think anything has actually happened since then. I don't think it has actually happened. So we are still ready to partner with them. Like I was saying, please let me go back to the issue of trial of criminal, particularly corruption cases, as provided by the ACJA. That's the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Most of the states, they have domesticated it, so they have their own ACJ help. But the provisions there that are mutatis mutandis are that trial respect of respect to criminal cases should be conducted day to day. It may not be possible that we do day to day, but at least if adjournments have been sought, we should not, like what we are having now, 1 month, 2 months, 3. It's not necessary because, like in the conduct of election petitions, why can't we extend them to criminal cases, particularly corruption cases? Because our major problem now in this country is corruption, and that is why we have every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to go to government house, wants to occupy government house. They are fighting everywhere for political offices because of the largesse that is there. So if we can send this message out that okay, within 1 year max, criminal cases, particularly in relation to corruption cases, financial crime cases, will be concluded. I bet you this message will stay. And you see the level of corruption will come down. And by the way, another major problem with regards to corruption cases is the issue of the fiat, the manner with which some of the states AG and I think the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, the way they enter fiat, to be frank with you, I am not comfortable with it. The Constitution actually gives the power of nolli prosecute. Sorry, I'm talking about nolli prosecute. The power of nolli prosecute to the AG, that is to withdraw case or withdraw criminal cases at any time without necessarily giving any reason. But the Constitution also provides that the discontinuance of such cases must be for good purpose, for the benefit, for the advancement of the law, for the good purpose and benefit of the society. But how can you enter a nolli prosecute, withdraw a case where you know that the governor, he has stolen billions of naira, and before you know what, nolli prosecute is entered. How can you do that? So to what benefit does that accrue to? What benefit accrues to the society? But nothing.
The question is, who checks that? We know that is something that's been given to the Attorney General of the state, but it doesn't appear that there's any other power to checkmate that particular power given to the Attorney General, because I guess the assumption was that, the Attorney General will be a man of integrity.
I agree with you.
So do you think that should we have amendments to, in place to check that, to make sure that indeed another body determines that this is indeed in public interest and this is for the public good?
Very well, I agree with you. Probably we need a constitutional amendment to that effect. But before then, there have been instances where the court actually, in the interpretation of constitutional provisions, they interpret it in a way that, in a purposive approach, they give it the purposive approach, that is in a way that will benefit the larger interests of the society. The court can also interpret such provisions, by way of curtailing the abusive powers of the Attorney General, of the state and of the Federation, by interpreting it to be, before such an action can be withdrawn, the purpose must be for the benefit of the society. Because now, the way it is now, they can just enter a nolli without giving any reason. And that has always been the interpretation given by the appellate courts, which personally I do not agree with. And we have instances where the courts actually, in their, like the Naira redesign case, the doctrine of necessity. So there have been instances where the courts will intervene. Like even in the recent financial autonomy for local government case, the courts can actually intervene for the betterment of the society and say, no, these powers that have been assigned by this particular office have been abused. You understand? So we need to curtail these wide discretionary powers. So I expect the court to be purposive in their interpretation of provisions that will actually affect the larger interest of the society. So
how do we, you know, how did we ever get to the stage whereby courts grant orders, you know, telling prosecutory agencies that they cannot invite, they cannot investigate, and these things stand, and you know, it has formed such a precedent that as we currently speak, the EFCC says they are unable to conduct their investigations in 10 states. At this rate, it does appear that all 36 states will soon be involved, from what we can see. How did we get here, and how come is it that the EFCC is unable to vacate these orders, you know, as soon as possible?
Thank you very much. That is a very good question that many Nigerians are actually asking. Even we, some of the members of NBA, we are also asking, because we know that the position of the law is that the court cannot stop an agency from performing its constitutional and or statutory functions. No court can stop that, because by stopping that, the court is also encouraging an infringement of the provisions enabling the agency to function as provided by the law. You recall that I think it's almost 15, 20 years now, if I can recall, the case of a former, let me not mention names, a former governor of a River State, where we were made to understand that EFCC filed an action against the governor with regards to public funds that we alleged to have been embezzled. And before we knew what was happening, there was an injunction that started flying everywhere with regards to that particular case. I'm afraid, because I'm not aware that that injunction, after 15, 20 years, has actually been set aside. So that case is like steel belts for more than 15, 20 years. The question is that EFCC, okay, should you have cases like this, why not just activate your appeals, because your appeal section, you understand, in the EFCC. Let them be very proactive. And I tell you for free that the Court of Appeal that I know, you understand, they are ready, you know, to close out appeals for EFCC within probably 6 months, 1 year. It actually comes back to the council. It comes back to the prosecuting council. The parties involved, you understand?
Yeah, but Mr. Edo, the other thing about that is,
if they fight their respective briefs,
just as you said, the public don't expect this kinds of, it should be common knowledge that you should not stop any anti-corruption agency from performing their constitutional role if we need to move forward in this country, because they give the impression that money talks and BS works. So, but there's this other matter that, is of public interest, if I can say that, because I know that you were also involved in one some time ago. I think they had, I don't know if they stopped you, or the VIO, FRC or something like that, and then you went to court and got a judgment. Then there's a recent one, which a court in Abuja also did ask the DRTS, the VIO, you can't be a judge in your own matter. But we saw a headline some days ago that was saying that they were going to lose, I can't remember how much, millions as a result of that judgment. And so it appeared as though, well, should they appeal this matter? Should the thing be set aside? Give us your impression of what that actually means and how things will shape up moving forward as a result of this latest judgment.
Hello, I didn't get your last statement, please.
Just your impression about how things are expected to shape up.
Very well. Oh, very well. I think immediately that judgment was delivered by my Lord of the Federal High Court, Odin at Abuja. My learned brother's sake, my boy in the human rights community, Femi Falano, sent the information to me via WhatsApp. I said, Egbon, thank God, this has happened again, because we need to send this message out, not only to VIO, but to FRSC, to NDLEA, to the customs, because it seems they have converted public road to generate their revenue-generating spots, where they can make monies. They're not really particular. With due respect to them, they're not, because we see them, members of the public see they almost speak truth to power at all times. That's the only way this country can move forward. The VIO that I know, they're not really particular about whether your vehicle is in good state or not. You understand? What they're mostly particular about is, how much they make from the whole process, disturbing the motor public. And to that extent, I had to go to court when they made a very huge error in stopping me. For crying out loud, I'm a lawyer, I know my rights. So I had to tell them, and good enough, the High Court in Delta State agreed with me. Unfortunately, like we have in many of the states, instead of applauding such patriotic action by citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the state government appealed the judgment to the Court of Appeal holding at Asaba. And I also followed up because I know that if I didn't follow it up, and members of the public will continue to oppress them, and that's what I don't like saying. So good enough, the Court of Appeal came very, very heavy, even heavier than the High Court. And so now to the fact that VIOs, they are not even supposed to be on the public road doing their job.
Wow.
That is not their office. Their office should be wherever their office will be. You inspect your vehicles there. By the way, you and I know shamefully that they don't even inspect vehicles. They give you the roadworthiness certificate. They don't even see the vehicles. All Nigerians will agree with me on this. They don't even see the vehicle. Just go there, pay money, good. That is why you see there are a lot of rickety vehicles on the road. And VI will just allow them pass, probably after giving them tips here and there. Look, we can't move forward like that.
Well, Mr. Kuleodu, while I mean that is a very valid statement to make to a large extent, but I think the experience in Lagos is a little different because because if you do not take your vehicle to what they call the VIO office, and they have centers, all across the state, yes, to check the vehicle, without which you will not get whatever they call it, the MOT certificate. Of course, there are issues around that one as well. But the question that goes out from that is whether or not Nigerians know. Maybe let me rephrase that. Whether or not the vehicle inspection officials themselves are aware of this. I think it was last week Markwell was bringing to our notice a statement that someone put on X that, look, this fight we have fought it before. So let us all print it and put it in our cars so that whenever they stop you, you bring it out for them and see, this is now the law. So what do you think informs them going on the streets in various parts of the country if, as you said, they are not supposed to show their faces on the roads?
My dear brother, can I tell you the truth? Let's always speak truth. It will help us a lot. I think majorly it is actuated by commercial motive. That is just it. That is just because I have seen situations where, they allow rickety vehicles to pass after collecting their normal stuff. You understand? For crying out loud, the judgment of the Federal Court, I understand that reference was made to my case. Yeah. The judgment delivered by the Court of Appeal, which is actually reported in almost all the law reports in Nigeria. The VIOs are fully aware. Even in Delta State, they are fully aware. And I know that. In fact, one of my colleagues from one of the northern states had a similar situation. And he actually confirmed that they are aware. So they cannot play ignorance. They cannot. But the motive to go there and collect money, it's very compelling to them. Very compelling to them. And the issue is that this money that they won't collect on the roads, are the monies actually paid into official accounts? That is another question. So what Nigerians need to know at this moment, I'm not saying that VIOs should not do their work. I'm not saying that FRSC should not do their work. But what I'm saying now is that there is a court order. There's a court judgment, now reaffirmed by the recent judgment of the Federal High Court, done by my very good colleague from the office of Femi Falana, that VIOs have no business be on the road. VIOs have no business collecting whatever it is called, monies for issuance of roadworthiness certificate from private vehicles. VIOs have no business setting up a roadblock or whatever. They have no business being there. Let them go to their office. And that was my judgment at the trial court. The judge said, let them go to their office during the renewal of a vehicle paper. That is when they are supposed to be doing their job. Like my very good friend said, with regards to Lagos State, that is where they are not. In fact, they're also doing be seen on the road. However, there's a caveat, sir. However, they can actually park by the side of the road, like it is done in every civilized country. FRS park by the side of the road. FRS is even worse. They will stay in the middle of the road. I say, Oga, federal road safety. What you have just done, is it a safe act? Standing right in the middle of a busy road. What about if somebody just comes and knocks you down? You are gone. You are gone. They say, the lawyer, pass. I say, okay, I've said my own. They have no business being on the road. Now, do you know what they do? They will just flag a vehicle down, park. Let's see your papers. Okay, are you stopping me because you want to check my papers? Because I need to know, why are you stopping me? Is it that my vehicle, on the face of it, doesn't look motorable or roadworthy or is rickety? Which is not that. It's not that. That's not the case. No. Well, let's see your papers. Oh, you stopped me to just see my papers. Nigerians need to know this moment that is a violation of their right to freedom of movement. Before you stop a person on the road who is driving on the road, you must have a prima facie evidence that either that vehicle has been involved in the commission of an act or any offense anywhere, or on the face of the vehicle ought not to even be on the road at all.
Yeah, but Mr. Jun, if in that case, shouldn't it be the job of the police and not the FRSC, VIO, or even the DRTS?
I agree with you, sir. The police, the FRSC, Federal Road Safety, and the VIOs. No, they can actually do this job.
Together?
You understand?
Okay.
Making our roads safe. But you and I know that they are not making our roads safe. Rather, they are helping themselves. We now have a problem. Now, let's even put FRSC aside. It's not the FRSC that we used to know when my Oga, Wole Soyinka, was, he started it all. FRSC is not the FRSC. And that's why probably I use opportunity to us that it's high time that FRSC and the police probably they are merged, so that we create a sort of highway patrol, because I do not see the relevance of the continued relevance of FRSC being a standalone agency, because what the police are doing on the road, they're actually doing the same thing. You can do a first pop on this. They are doing the same thing. Yeah. So for crying out loud, we need to sanitize the system. We are not helping ourselves. Nigerians are going through a lot, and they don't want to a situation where they are going to work, they are going to other places, and they're not being confronted by these money mongers, all in the name of VIOs, all in the name of FRSC, all in the name of customs. No, let our road be safe.
Yes, we have to thank you very much indeed, yourself and all the other lawyers who fought this on behalf of the Nigerian public. Thank you for coming on, Wale Odun, senior
Thank you very
advocate,
much. I appreciate it.
Senior advocate of Nigeria. All right, let's move on. We have some messages actually. Is there anyone on this VIO matter? I'd love to see it.
No, I think all of them are around rivers. And interesting tweet from Jesus for the Street. I think it's Joamidi. He says it's time His Excellency Fubara and Honorable Minister Wike of the FCT started thinking about and putting humanity above everything else. Karma is real. They're both guilty in this matter. Wike brought Fubara is in battle with Wike over state structure and other unknown reasons. Rivers State and her people are experiencing unrest and interference in governance because of the feud between Wike and Fubara. Both of them and their egos are everywhere in all of this. Humans choose to remain in the age of war because they know no different than to fight or kill. Well, he says he's expecting more of this from former Governor Wike. He is with President Tinubu now. He has to be better. He has to visit the scenario. All parties were Democrats from the beginning to the end. Now, talking about the situation of Elders of Lagos versus Ambode. All parties were Democrats from beginning to the end for 4 years. Clean, minimal damages, peace and order, karma, continuity and prosperity. Wike must take ownership of his own responsibility, humbly in all of this, and allow Fubara rule the best way he can for 4 years only, if I were Wike.
Well, there's this one also from Prof. Imonoka Enakena says, supporters on both sides of this political divide must endeavor to make altruistic and rational statements that can quell this palpable fear, cause irrational anger or deductions that's capable of manipulating the public into unconventional and inordinate anger by contrast, as it is, or arriving at decisions that can plunge the state into total chaos and unreceptive upheaval.
Yeah, cognitive ambition. All right, thank you very much indeed, all of you, for your messages. We appreciate all of them. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain, so don't forget, have yourselves a very, very good day today.
Freedom. They say eternal vigilance is the price of freedom.
Freedom from VIFRC.
Any type of freedom. You have to keep watch. I think that's to all of us and the people of River State. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Mark. Well, yourself.
And I'm Ayo Makine. You have a safe day.